Ladies, we have been looking forward to this event for weeks. And we're excited to have all of you join us this morning. My name is Nikki Johnson. I am one of the co-hosts of hashtag Limitless Girl Guiding. And it is indeed my pleasure to welcome all of you to our very first international digital event hosted by the Girl Guides Association of Trinidad and Tobago and Media Guides. Welcome, everyone. I would like to acknowledge all of our regional and international guiding dignitaries, our President, Jennifer Johnson, who will be joining us shortly, members of our Executive Council who are here as observers, members of the Media Guides core team, and of course, all of our girls in the room who are up early, some of them yawning, some of them some of them wanting to go back to sleep, some of them half eaten their breakfast, but they are here with us. So ladies, give yourselves a round of applause. You made it, and we have a packed room. Welcome, welcome, welcome. As you all may know, Media Guides is new to the Girl Guides Association of Trinidad and Tobago, and our intent is very simple: to empower our girls to be able to articulate their thoughts, their ideas, their aspirations, and their intent on changing their community and their country and our world via media. Our tagline, Media Guides, fearlessly representing the Girl Guides Association of Trinidad and Tobago online, offline, and on air. I am joined this morning by our co-host, Amelia Ramkisoon, a ranger guide from San Fernando.
Good morning, everyone. It's my greatest pleasure this morning to be co-hosting this wonderful event with Ms. Nikki. And I do hope that we all listen to and understand the speakers this morning so that we can put into practice values that bring forward for us young ladies. As customary with everything we do, we must first start off with a prayer or reflection. Today, Brownie Guide Leona Arjun of 29th East Port of Spain Brownie Pack will be doing the honors of starting us off with a reflection.
Good morning, I am Leona, and this morning I want us to reflect on where we are going as media guides. If we go on a long journey, we need a map to guide us. A map could save us from getting lost or help us find the right road again. Our promise and the law, which has God at its heart, is our map. If we keep both the promise and the law, we can't go wrong. As media guides, let us focus on our map. Let us have no fear, no doubt, no limits. Let us continue to dream big as we reach for our goal in girl guiding. And remember that the longest journey begins with the first step. So we have already taken that first step. So let us bow our heads and close our eyes and ask God to be with us all the way.
Good morning, members of the World Association of Girl Guides and Girl Scouts. I am delighted to welcome you to this important Media Guides meeting under the theme Limitless Guiding. I say welcome to the 5 members of the panel. Welcome to our national, regional, and international observers. Welcome to the members of our core team. And last, but by no means least, welcome to our media guides. This special meeting was the brainchild of the chair of the Media Guides Core Committee, Ms. Nikki Johnson, and our training commissioner, Ms. Angela Nesbitt. They extended invitations to these 5 young women who are committed to girl guiding. And they have demonstrated this commitment by accepting our invitation to be at this important meeting. To these 5 ladies, I say thank you for accepting our invitation. These ladies are going to tell their stories this morning. Their stories of overcoming fear and self-doubt. Stories about their guiding opportunities, activities and events that have shaped their lives and their journey of self-development and leadership. Our media guides will hear stories from Sarah Ali, Jennah Parris, Daba Iket Obosen, Cindy Ann Alexander, and Chamathya Fernando. I believe that after hearing the stories from these 5 members of the panel, our media guides will be inspired and motivated to continue their girl guiding journey. I hope that these girls would inspire to become members of the Caribbean Link, members of the Western Hemisphere Committee, members of the World Board, or to represent their country at a national event. Listen attentively, media guides, and at the end of the presentations, you can ask questions. Thank you. Have a wonderful meeting.
Thank you, Miss Dolly. We as guides and Trinbagonians are known for our creativity, so it is fitting our welcome is in the most creative way possible. Our media guides from Scarborough, Tobago have prepared a special treat for us. It's my pleasure to introduce our sisters performing an interesting take on welcoming us with a speech band.
Oh yeah, 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 yeah. Come, let we go, let we go. Oh yeah, 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 yeah. Come, let we go, let we go. Oh yeah, 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 yeah. Come, let we go, let we go. Oh yeah, 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 yeah. Come, let we go, let we go. Oh ha, oh ha, oh ha, oh ha, oh ha. Oh ha! Oh ha! Oh ha! Stop your bow, Mr. Fiddler. Oh ha hi! It is a very distinct pleasure and a noteworthy honor for me, Sumaya Idu and Ria Frederick from Fort Scarborough, Tobago, to welcome all these established girl guides on this most auspicious and momentous occasion to this magnanimous panel discussion. You know us girl guides, we always lead in the way. So sit back, relax, and fully participate today as we shatter every boundary, misconception, and fear, for the path to limitless girl guiding is finally here. Drag your bow, Mr. Fiddler. Oh ha! 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 Tap your bow, Mr. Fiddler. Oh ha! Hi! Welcome, welcome to every one of you, leading, teaching, and learning as girl guides always do. We have such an experienced list of panelists today. Like Miss Sarah Ali, we own Trinidad and Tobago representative for the Juliet Low. She are the young leader for First Endeavour, if you please. And hailing from the tranquil Isles of Barbados, the Secretary to the Caribbean Link, a hearty welcome is due to Miss Jennah Parris. And from the Caribbean Spice Isles, Grenada, we have Miss Cindy Ann Alexander for the Western Hemisphere Region Committee. You know she's the chair. Drag your bow, Mr. Fiddler. Oh ha! 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 Stop your bow, Mr. Fiddler. Oh ha! Hi! You thought we were finished. You thought we were done. But the wealth of Girl Guides talent has only just begun. We have Miss Chamathya Fernando from Sri Lanka, the youngest ever of the WAGGGS World Board member. In 2017, she was up front and center, leading Stop the Violence campaigns to make our world better.
Alas, it is time to bid you goodbye. See how the little time well fly. Be sure to make full use of all this life-changing discussion. And to one and all, again we say, welcome. Drag your bow, Mr. Fiddler.
Oh yeah, 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 yeah. Come, let we go, let we go. Oh yeah, 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 yeah. Come, let we go, let we go. Oh yeah, 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 yeah. Come, let we go, let we go. Oh yeah, 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 yeah. Come, let we go, let we go.
I'd just like to remind our members here of a couple of Zoom protocols and etiquette. But before we do that, can we really give our girls from Tobago a round of applause, a thumbs up, or any of the icons that you'd like to show your appreciation of their talent, of their time, and their presentation? Could we? Yes. Excellent. Thank you. Just a few Zoom protocols and etiquette. As we are aware, it is important that all of us, as much as possible, keep our video on so that we know who is in the room. And of course, it adds to the level of engagement, seeing faces, interested faces, responses and reactions. We've gotten prior consent to record today's meeting. I do hope all of our panelists are also okay with that. And we are fully aware that adults are nearby or minors to ensure that if they need any technical assistance, they would be able to give them that. Please, as you are doing currently, keep your volume muted until ready to speak. And when you need to ask a question, you can use the raised hand icon or present your question in the chat. Thank you very much, ladies.
Okay, so let's jump straight into our discussion today. Our first speaker up is Miss Sarah Ali. Sarah Ali is a guide attached to the first Endeavour Guide Company in central Trinidad and has been involved in guiding since age 6. She's committed to carrying on the legacy of her grand aunt, who formed first Endeavour Guide Company in the 1970s under a cashew tree of the Assembly of the God Church compound, their meeting right until recent times. In 2019, she got the opportunity to represent Trinidad and Tobago at the Julia Lowe Leadership Seminar held at one of the WAGGGS World Centers or Cabana in Mexico. This was truly an impactful opportunity for her, more of which we look forward to hearing about today. In addition to being a guider, Sarah volunteers in the Office of Disaster and Preparedness Management, ODPM, as a national volunteer, and in her spare time, she runs her cake business, which she turned from a hobby to a business at age 21. Sarah Ali, guider, volunteer, leader, and entrepreneur, welcome.
Thank you, Amelia. I just want to say thank you all for having me on this panel today. As you're aware, First Endeavour, my division, I was formed by my grand aunt, and I've grown up in guiding all my life. All my aunts, all my family, of my sisters well, my sister is / was a guider, once a guider, always a guider, maybe. That Juliet Low seminar in 2019, honestly, I wasn't sure if I was able to represent, but I tried. My leaders told me, go ahead and try it. I thought I was probably too old. And I was just like, go ahead and try it. I tried. I don't know if Chief could remember. Chief interviewed me and it was horrible. It was scary. I was very nervous as I am now, right now. But I was so scared, and the panel setting, especially seeing all these younger girls like knowing, rattling off all these things that I thought I just didn't know. And of course, for my interview panel, they left me for last. So I saw every single girl going one by one by one by one. And I was just like, when is it going to be my turn? Finally, my turn came. Throat dry, heart beaten. But I did my best. I answered my questions. Some, not all my best. Some I didn't remember because I was so nervous. But one question I remember my ranger commissioner asking me was about the leadership mindset. And I, for the life of me, couldn't remember it at that point in time. So I was determined. As I got off that panel discussion, I went on my phone and I checked. I was like, but I know this. I was like, why has my fear hampered me from remembering this at that point in time? You know what? That is never going to happen to me again. So from then on, from February to November, I studied WAGGGS as much as I could, wrote things down, got everything ready as much as I can. I did all my trainings that I could go to. Even though I was determined to attend all those trainings, I made it my business at this point in time to do such. Flash forward to April when I got that email saying that I was going to the Mexico hub. Yeah, World Center, here we come. Of course. My Spanish, I had to learn some Spanish to go there actually. So that was a little bit a next challenge I had to take up. Learning that a little bit of Spanish to go across and make sure that I could represent well. When I was actually selected, when I actually got word that I was selected, honestly, I was surprised. Why would my association pick me? Honestly. And that really did boost my confidence to really work harder, because it showed that even though I may not have always have that drive to go forward, my association, my leaders definitely saw my potential that I could represent Trinidad and Tobago well. My journey for Juliet Low, as you're all aware, Juliet Low is a leadership seminar. So training purposes, I attended all that I can. I don't know if Angela probably fell up see my name and emails come at asking to attend events. I actually started to pick up a lot more duties at my unit, at my division, at my district. Juliet Low issued a lot of challenges as well, which I did. I did a lot of the WAGGGS Glow learning so that I could, prepare. I thought I'd spend some time. I felt like I lived on the WAGGGS website, reading and double checking everything that I could possibly learn about WAGGGS, just to reinforce the stuff that I've learned over the years, just double checking all our challenges, all our campaigns, preparing myself for this Juliet Low. Finally, today came. I actually got to go to Juliet Low. I saw our cabana. I saw the chief's door. How awesome is that? I was actually there, right? And being at Juliet Low really did open my eyes to see how much the youths of today play a part in their MO, and they hold very big positions. I remember girl from Guatemala, she's actually on the board. She helps make these big decisions that, you know, and actually, again, self-consciousness and self-doubt played a part there, because I was just like, what? Do I have what it takes to really be at a seminar now? Because these girls have established so many things like Chamathya, 27, and hosting the Stop the Violence campaign for herself had me a little bit self-conscious about my ability to really represent. But you know what? We're not gonna let fear hold us back. We went forward. We lift our head up, and we did what we had to do. If we didn't know it then, we will learn it one day. We will learn it. Learning is always continuous in my book. So I really did make some lifelong friends at Juliet Low. And actually this afternoon I have a Zoom meeting with them again, because we always try to keep in contact. Some memorable moments at my Juliet Low seminar event would be a lot of our participants were Spanish speakers or English speakers, some in between Japanese and Chinese, and yet you should hear how our words sound when all our languages are singing it. And somehow we were able, even though we were in different groups, different stuff happening, different games, different events happening within that event, we were able to always figure each other out. And that really is eye-opening for me, how much, even though we're in 4 main languages, we all are bonded by that love of guidance, and we make things work. We figure it out. So when I actually got to Juliet Low, one of my main things I wanted to do was to get our Dead Scorpion challenge. So that was a next nice event to have, and I got a new pin. A lot of things happening at Juliet Low. One of the main things that we did focus on would have been the SDG number 5, the gender inequality. And speaking with some of the girls at that event, I realized how much, just as we are connected by WAGGGS, we are connected by the same issues. A lot of our girls, I don't sure if it's a Latin America thing, because a lot of our girls would have been Latin Americans on Western Hemisphere participants. A lot of our stop the violence and issues were very similar to what we experience here in Trinidad, especially like how females are spoken to, some of the issues that we have. Juliet Low, and I definitely recommend our girls really picking up at our association and one day go forward into Western Hemisphere on WAGGGS, Caribbean Link, as well, to really take up that mantle. You want to see a change, make it happen with you. You don't know everything, that is fine, you will learn. So I really do hope that my experience at Juliet Low really does inspire some of you all. I really wish, I am hoping that I grow in my MO, and hopefully one day I'll probably be in Cindy Ann's position. One day I'll probably be, you never know where we will be. So, yeah. Some of my, yeah.
Would you like to finish, Sarah?
I'm fine. I just really, I have a passion for having the youths really taking up the mantle. Don't let the older ones just take and rule and run with it. Fight, when I say not fight, but have your voices heard and put yourself in a position when positions arise that you can prepare yourself for that and take up that mantle.
Excellent. Thank you so very much, Sarah Ali. Could we Acknowledge her, please. Give her a round of applause, thumbs up. I don't know if there's a high five icon. They need to put a high five icon inside there, man. So thank you very much, Sarah. We are pleased that you had a fantastic opportunity and represented us well. One of the key takeaways, ladies, for me, and I know perhaps for very many others, is that even though you feel fear, you still press on. And even there you feel self-doubt, remember that your association and your leaders believe in you and are behind you. And perhaps just in that moment, that is enough to keep you going. Ladies, up next, we have Jennah Parris from Barbados. Jennah Parris is the Caribbean Link Secretary, and she has been a member of the Girl Guides Association of Barbados from the time she was 6 years old. So in effect, she's a lifelong member of the Girl Guides movement. And therefore she's served and been in from brownies, guides, ranger, and now a member of the executive, serving also as the secretary of Caribbean Link. Many of us guiders in the room know Jennah Parris, and of course our Western Hemisphere chair, very familiar with Jennah Parris because she's a facilitator of the Free Being Me program, also of the Action for Body Confidence program, the Surf Smart program, and Voices Against Violence. She's also a National Leadership Development Program facilitator. In fact, that is where I met Ms. Parris first. Thank you so very much for joining us this morning, Ms. Parris. Just a wee bit more about who you are so our girls get a holistic view of your contribution. Ms. Parris has also represented her association locally and regionally in NGOs, trainings at our Cabana, and trainings throughout the region and at World Conference in Hong Kong. Outside of guiding, she is a special needs educator at the primary school level and owns her own business, a trend that we will see here today. She believes that education is for everyone and it's a never-ending journey. Jennah Parris, facilitator, entrepreneur, secretary of the Caribbean Link of Guiding. Welcome.
Hi, welcome and good morning. Thank you for having me on the panel. I was a little iffy because, sorry, like Sarah, I'm not, sometimes, you know, when you're asked to do things, it's fear first that comes to mind before you say readily, okay. But from your guiding journey, you know that you can tackle pretty much about anything that's thrown your way. You have the initial fear, but you know you've been selected because people have seen, you know, certain things in you that you may not think yourself. So you decide you take up the challenge and you go with it. So as Nicole would have mentioned, I have been in the guiding family for as long as I could remember. There isn't a time when I wasn't in guiding. My journey started out as a brownie because unfortunately in my time I didn't have the experience of blossoms. Blossoms started later, which is our smallest ones here in Barbados. I would have done guiding, but really I would say my guiding life took off in Rangers. We started Rangers here at 14 for me. I was part of changing the age in the Constitution just so that I could join the Ranger group that was here. So I was actually a guide and a Ranger at the same time, and I can tell you it was an awesome experience. There were lots of things we would have done because at Rangers you are leading yourself. It's not a case where you have a guider who says to you, well, this evening you're going to be doing craft and you're going out horseback riding and so forth. We plan our own program. So it was an awesome experience at that age to be able to plan and decide what you're going to do. So my guiding life really started and took off when I became a Ranger. And after that, I continued in the association. I was very interested in the opportunities that were presented to me to be part of the training team. So I would have gone through the training to be a trainer at our local level because one of the things I do based on my profession, I really like sharing information. I really like sharing knowledge. I don't believe that knowledge is for any one person or any particular type of person, but I believe knowledge is something that can be shared, and you can only become more knowledgeable by sharing with other people. That interchange, that experience is something that helps you to grow and you learn even more. So I would have taken up the challenge of being on the training team, and I can't say at any point that I've ever regretted being on the training team. And then I had the opportunity a few years ago to also then join our executive as the Commissioner for Local Affairs. And again, another challenge I was a bit iffy about, but I was like, this is the guiding family. Even if you don't think you can do it yourself, there's always somebody there who is willing to help you. There's always guidance. There are always persons there who are willing to mentor you, who've been there before, and who are willing to hold your hand and help you to get to the place where you need to go. So I would have decided then to go forward for the position of local affairs, and that was successful. And again, I've been having an awesome experience with that as well. And then there was the opportunity as well to become the Secretary of Caribbean Link. That in itself was a whole other experience, because Caribbean Link isn't just, your local level. This is now an opportunity where you're going to get to interact on another level with persons from other Caribbean countries. You have to interact with persons from WAGGGS. You have to interact with persons from the Western Hemisphere. So again, I decided, look, the opportunity is there. Somebody's seen that. Definitely the chair of the Caribbean Link, Miss Ruth Parris, she said, I think this is something you can do. I'll be here. And so said, so done. And I've been the chair of Caribbean Link. Can't remember exactly how long now, but let's just say it's been a little while. But again, it's been an awesome journey, because I have had the opportunity to interact with many countries within the Caribbean Link. And that's something that, yes, you could have done it on your own, but it's another experience from that level. As you know, the Caribbean Link works to push the mission and the vision of WAGGGS in the MOs within the link, as well as the strategic plan of the Western Hemisphere. And what the Caribbean Link looks at is really bringing those countries together in terms of networking, collaboration. They promote things, for example, like trainers exchange. So if we have a trainer here in Barbados who's really good at, let's say, outdoor cooking and innovative ways that you can host events and ceremonies and so forth within your organization. And let's say Trinidad, at that point may not have had somebody, we could come over, somebody from Barbados could come over. And if there's somebody in Trinidad who's very good at tweaking programs and helping persons to meet the needs of their girls. And again, we didn't have someone here, Caribbean Link will facilitate those kinds of exchanges. So the Caribbean Link really has a very important role, even in terms of looking at ensuring that the standards of trainers and that the region itself has trainers that can help to promote the programs and to give guidance to guiders and so forth. That all of that comes into what the Caribbean Link does. So again, looking at what the Caribbean Link is mandated to do and being a part of that experience was something that is, I can tell you, it's a really wonderful experience. You learn so much from other countries. You're accustomed doing things at home one particular way, and you think that works, but then you go out and you see some of the other things that persons are doing, and it allows for that exchange. And it is a wealth of knowledge out there. It is a very fulfilling experience, I can tell you. Even watching the welcome just now, that just sparks so many ideas in my head, because I think that's a very interesting way of doing a welcome. I think the girls did an awesome job, and that is something then that we could see, well, okay, let's see how we could play around with something like that. And when we're doing our online trainings, to see how we could include something like that within, just to offer ideas. So again, that exchange of knowledge and wealth as it relates to the Caribbean Link and what it does, I decided I had to be a part of this. So that's my Caribbean Link journey. Now, As I said, besides just being within the organization, I've had opportunities to travel to represent Barbados. I would have gone, as mentioned, as Nicole would have mentioned, to the World Conference in Hong Kong. And again, being home, you know you're part of a big organization at home. But when you go to something like a world conference, even when you go to regional conferences, to sit in a room with so many other women who are so intelligent, who have so many ideas, who are so confident, you know, it kind of rekindles the fire if you had it. And if you don't, it kind of inspires a passion in you to do more, to do better, to try new things, to take risks, you know. So being in that space and having those opportunities presented me with, you know, thoughts of more things that I could do. So I would encourage, if you have the opportunity to go to any world conferences, if you have the opportunity to go to world centers, you know, take those opportunities, you know, very much maximize on them. Yes, there's always going to be that fear of, am I going to be good enough? Are the other persons there, are they going to have better ideas than me? Should I speak up and so forth? But you know, one thing I've learned about my guiding experience and being in those forums is that it's like family. You know, nobody ever makes you feel like your ideas are not valued, that your opinion, your presence is not welcome. You know, when you go into those forums, it's a case where you always feel like home. That's the feeling you get when you're in guiding. You know, a very comfortable feeling. You have extra mummies, extra sisters, extra aunties, you know. That's the feeling I get when I'm in guiding. That's what keeps me here. My guiding experience has prepared me not just for the guiding family, but even as it relates to work, even in terms of opening my own business. Guiding has given me so much in terms of being a flexible thinker, being able to think quickly on my feet, being able to improvise. You know, many times there are persons who get stuck if something goes wrong, but with guiding, you always have to think quickly on your feet, you know? So those kinds of skills that you get from guiding very much transfer to all of the other aspects of your life. And even people within your organization, sometimes people go, you're a guide, aren't you? Because sometimes some of the things we do just say guiding. There's just something about guiding that once you are immersed in it, it just flows from you. And sometimes people will just know from the way how you do things, how you interact, you know, how you think about things, that you are in some kind of organization that feeds those kinds of things. So, you know, I would encourage you, if you have opportunities, yes, there's that initial fear, but this is guiding. You're not ever going to be alone. I encourage you to take up those challenges. And sometimes you're not always successful, but you know what? Every failure also is a learning lesson. And don't be afraid of failure. It just means that you need to get up and go and try it another way again. And sometimes you fall again and you get up and you try again. But the good thing about guiding is that you always have somebody else there to help you. They're always helping hands. Once you look around, even without you looking around, there are people who are always there, even when you don't know that they have your back. So I would encourage you, maximize on the opportunities. Sometimes they're presented to you. Sometimes you see some that you may want to do as well. You know, don't be afraid to go forward and to ask a question. You know, you never know what could happen. So I'll stop there.
Thank you very much, Ms. Jennah Parris,
No
Secretary of our Caribbean Link of Guiding. We've been seated for close to 45 minutes, and it's important that we get ourselves a little energized and not too sluggish sitting down this long. And so I hand you over now to Trisha Benjamin, who would lead us in a Girl Guide Energizer.
Happy to do that. We are about to sing this song because we are really, really happy to finally be here. You know, we work so hard. I know the journey has just begun and we have a little more to go, but as guides, this song is just perfect.
I've got something in my pocket that belongs to
Across my face, I keep it close beside me. Then
I'm sure you wouldn't guess it if you guessed it all the while. So take it out and put it on. It's a great big brownie smile.
all right, everybody, we have it. We're ready. I can't see everybody, but I know we are all going to do it because we practice. Well, I practiced twice, and you all practice one. So we go in it, and this is it. I've got something in my pocket that belongs across my face. I keep it close beside me in a most convenient place. I'm sure you couldn't guess it if you guessed a long, long while. So I'll take it out and put it on. It's a great big brownie smile.
Woo! So our next speaker is Ms. Cindy-Ann Alexander, hailing from the Spice Isle of Grenada. Ms. Cindy-Ann Alexander has been an active member of her national association, the Girl Guides Association of Grenada, for just under 30 years. She is the former communications commissioner, and during her tenure, she noted the need to reintroduce a young leaders program after many years of inactivity. As a result, she spearheaded the development of the new program, which seeks to bridge ranger guides and adult leaders by providing young women with more options to assist with their personal growth and development within the movement. Cindy-Ann Alexander now serves as the Western Hemisphere Region Committee Chair and a member of the World Board of the World Association of Girl Guides and Girl Scouts. As the region chair, she works along with 5 other women to further the strategic priorities of WAGGGS within the region and support the 35 member organizations of the Western Hemisphere by providing the tools, resources, and connections that they need to deliver quality girl guiding to girls and young women in their country. Cindy-Ann Alexander, leader, advocate, chair of the Western Hemisphere Region Committee, and our next door island sister, welcome.
Thank you, Amelia. Thank you, everyone, for having me on the call today. I actually had a presentation, but I noticed everyone is going with just having a discussion. So I'm wondering if maybe that might be the way to go. So I just wanted to share a little bit about my journey to where I am, and hopefully by sharing we can you can identify in yourself ways in which you see yourself on that journey to leadership and continue on your guiding journey through local opportunities, through regional opportunities, and global opportunities. So I'm going to start actually by talking a little bit about when I was a ranger. So unlike Jennah, I'm not a lifelong because we didn't have brownies in my area, but I really wanted to be a brownie. When seeing those girls and hearing, actually I read a book about the Crystal Palace encounter of Girl Guides asking for to have a similar experience as boys, and thought that is so so brave of them. You know, I wanted to be part of that. But got the opportunity when I entered secondary school, and really saw within guiding a sisterhood. I was very shy, didn't speak much. But when I became a ranger, as you would have heard, being a ranger, you tend to be more in charge of what is happening as a unit. You're not being told as much. You really take charge of what's happening. And our ranger unit actually had a bit of a challenge because many of the members who came in were very new and unaccustomed, and we didn't quite weren't quite sure of what was next for us, but we were determined. And so we leaned on each other. We worked together a lot on the challenges that were put before us. Our leader at the time, our advisor at the time, she really believed that we could do it and gave us these challenges and told us, yes, go ahead, you can do it. And in that unit, I realized something about myself. Even though I was shy and a little uncertain about things, I had a voice, and a voice that persons listened to. And it didn't mean that I became loud or always the one loudest in the room. It meant that the persons in the room valued what I had to say. So we were all listening to each other, leaning on each other, growing together, and discovering ourselves in the process. And I think as guides, and I think Jennah articulated very well, we are a family, a sisterhood that really accepts and values each other, and in so doing, empower each other to be brave and to really have a voice. And I think that was a turning point for me, because then I saw myself as a lifelong guide. There's nothing, nowhere else I needed to be. I needed to be a girl guide. No matter what the journey was, I would embrace it. And so that was one of my experiences I would like to share, because in that time when you're growing up and discovering and facing new things, these are some of the times when you feel uncertain, when you feel maybe you're not sure if you can do it, but you do have within you, especially as guides and participating in the activities and programs of guiding, you grow and develop in ways that allow you to be able to take these opportunities and really make them what you can. So you do have it within you, no matter how big it may seem now. Exploring the possibility of media guides, it may seem big, but you do have within you, and you do have a sisterhood that will allow you to blossom in these roles. The next thing I wanted to share about was more closer in time, but around when I'm deciding to run for the committee. So I think both our speakers said before how much they were shocked when they were selected or told by someone else that they had what it took to take a particular role, and they may not have seen it within themselves, or they may have doubted a little bit. We all go through those moments. And so when others would have seen within me the possibility to join the committee and shared that with me, I was excited about it, because I think it was for me an opportunity to share more of my passion for guiding and empowering young girls and young women. But it also was a fearful moment. Could I really do it? Sometimes when you look at these roles, you think the persons who have to take these roles have to be someone who would have been in strong leadership roles forever, right? You would have seen them maybe on TV. These are the people who would take these roles, not someone who is just communications commissioner in her member organization. And so you sometimes question it. But I say to that is that sometimes in our questions, we ourselves need to say, why not? I am a girl guide. I have to be brave, right? I have been developing on this leadership journey from whenever I started being a girl guide. Whether it was brownie or guide or ranger level you started, you have started a leadership journey. And so you have been developing skills. You have been on a personal development that allows you to be able to take these opportunities, embrace these opportunities. And so I had to sit myself down and say, yes, you could do it. You can. All right. You've been a girl guide, and this is another level of girl guiding where you can Now put all that your love and your passion into it as you work towards developing and working towards vibrant girl guiding experiences across the region. So of course I said yes and went up as a nominee. And I have to confess, all right, I don't think I've confessed that to anyone. I think there's probably only 2 people who noticed, but after the election, I broke down and cried. I was like, all of these people believe that I really can do this. And so I was like, these are my sisters, and they saw in me what I think I can do. And I was so touched that I did cry. And then one of the persons there, actually my very good friend, she's also the Chief Commissioner of Barbados. We met a long time ago at a ranger conference in St. Vincent. Imagine that. Still a lifelong friend. She was with me and said, we see in you what you can do. So wipe those tears. We're ready to go, right? And so with that, I joined a team of women who are very inspirational, very empowering. There are 6 women who take up each day, each week, the responsibility of providing support to the region. And it's not because they do inaccessible things, but it's because they love guiding. They've been guides. And so being girl guides, they believe that they are themselves on a leadership journey. They feel empowered, and they feel empowered to empower other girls and young women to take it up. So when you are being faced with roles that you think are big roles, remember that on this journey, you are already on a leadership journey with guiding, and 2, you are always with women who also have that passion and can support you in that role. And so one of the things I would like to say to you, that being part of a program such as Media Guides, it's an opportunity to be part of something innovative, to be part of something exciting. And it allows you to engage with other members, whether it's members of your community, members of Trinidad and Tobago as a whole, or even more widely reaching, as you will reach to others of the region, and so through social media. It gives you an opportunity to promote social change. And so I'm sure you're excited there to see how can you be an influence, a positive influence to others. So think about it a little bit. What it is you want to do? It doesn't have to be big, it doesn't have to be massive, but what are the things that you want to do as a media guide that supports this and promotes this positive influence in your community and in your country? And as you participate in the program, I ask you to be brave, to learn from every experience, to enjoy the adventure, because it's going to be an adventure, right? The adventure that it presents. Work together and take the opportunity to be a positive influence to the persons in your lives, in your life as well, and also to continue to have fun, because we always like to underscore anything that we do in guiding with the fact that guiding is fun. It will be a time of growth for you, and it will be a time of self-discovery. But as you do all of this, one of the things that I think I just want to say is that you be yourself, because the world needs you being who you are, right, is what the world needs right now. And being a girl guide, being a media guide will help you to make your mark on a positive, responsible actions each day, right? So it doesn't have to be a massive thing. Just do and be you and be a positive influence day by day. Thank you.
Thank you, Miss Cindy-Ann. As a ranger guide, I really would like to further myself in guides. So that was probably one of the reasons that I wanted to take up the opportunity, embrace the opportunity and become a media guide, because I saw it as a way for me to stick with guides throughout. And I think your story is really encouraging for my fellow rangers, seniors, and even brownie guides to take up some initiative and really work towards their goals with FAIR, because they have their sisters around to always encourage them to do their best and to always show them that they can do it even if they have a little fear. Just like me, I have a little fear sometimes, but I always rely on my friends and guides to help me embrace the opportunities and in guides, because we're all here to have fun. We have Miss Chamathya Fernando from Sri Lanka. Chamathya Fernando is only 27 years old and has accomplished a whole lot. She is currently serving as a member of the Beijing 25 Global Youth Task Force by UN Women, leading the youth work of the Generation Equality Campaign. In 2017, she was recognized by the US State Department as one of the 10 global emerging young leaders for her work on empowering women and young girls against gender-based violence. From 2018 to 2020, she served as the youngest member of the World Board of the World Association of Girl Guides and Girl Scouts, the largest voluntary organization for girls and young women in the world, with a membership of 10 million girls in 150 member countries. She has served as a global facilitator of the Stop the Violence campaign for the Sri Lanka Girl Guides Association and the Bangladesh Girl Guides Association, and has experience working with Girl Up, a UN Foundation initiative, Plan International, UNICEF Sri Lanka, and many other grassroots organizations. Chamathya Fernando, outgoing WAGGGS youngest World Board member, advocate, and trailblazer, we are delighted to have you with us.
Hi, everyone. First of all, thank you so much for inviting me. And already I feel so inspired and empowered to hear such amazing stories from all of you. And I think listening to some of the stories make me so emotional in a way that I could relate to them so well, because how my journey have been crafted and the kind of challenges, kind of self-doubt I probably might have had at the time, and how all of y'all have really pushed through and come to where y'all are now. So thank you so much again for inviting me. It has been such a great time listening to all of that. And it's so fascinating to see why we are such a vibrant and diversified organization. But whether it's from the Western Hemisphere, the Caribbean, or from Africa or Asia Pacific, from like I come from Sri Lanka, how relatable our stories are, and some of our journeys. So it's really encouraging to hear such amazing stories. I was invited to speak for around 10 minutes about how my journey has been from being a girl guide to be the youngest member in the World Board, but also to share a little bit how I was involved in 2 different member organizations doing the Stop the Violence campaign. Just to start off with, I was a little friend So next year it'll be like 20 years of me in girl guiding movement. I was around 7-8 years old when I joined Little Friends, and then became a girl guide, and then a youth member. And while I was around 18, 19, there was this amazing opportunity to become a WAGGGS youth delegate. And that really kind of opened my knowledge and my awareness into different social issues, and particularly about gender inequality. And that's something I actually wasn't familiar with growing up. And I come from a very normal upbringing and a middle class family, and this wasn't a topic that we discussed in the dining table or with my parents. So it was such an eye-opening experience for me to go to the UN, become a part of the WAGGGS delegation, then to go through the training we had on gender and on the Stop the Violence campaign's curriculum. So it really helped me understand a different thematic area altogether, and really kind of related my own life experiences and how I didn't know that what was happening was wrong, and then these are the actions we could actually take as girls and young women. For example, about sexual harassment that happens in public transport. That's something I've probably experienced personally, taking a bus or a train. But at the time when I was very young, I didn't know that, you should say no to it. You could take action against it. But going through the trainings from WAGGGS and really opening my knowledge to understand that this was wrong, and as girls and young women, we must speak out and take action, kind of made me passionate to come back to Sri Lanka and initiate this campaign with the Sri Lanka Girl Guides Association. So fortunately for me, our leadership in the member organization was really supportive to take on this idea, because again, gender-based violence is such a sensitive topic to speak out about in Sri Lanka, and you have to be very careful about it. But they were very supportive, and of course we are a charity organization, so we do not have a lot of financial resources, but we somehow managed to do it in such a diversified and inclusive way that we started off at a local level, but then we moved. As time went on, we moved to district, provincial, national level, and we trained around 65 of our leaders who then went on to take that awareness and education to young people of all ages, and then, we make them empowered enough to speak out and take action against it. And of course, WAGGGS recognized our efforts, and we were invited to go to Bangladesh Girl Guides Association. So we managed to do the same kind of training for them, and were able to train their leaders to take the same kind of education into their 10 regions in Bangladesh. So it has been such a fulfilling experience for me, but of course it has also been such a great learning experience to see how similar we are as countries, but also very, very different when it comes to some of the issues we have on gender. So these experiences really helped me understand the differences in our movement, and especially in countries, and how girl guiding works. And it also, in a way, helped me to take on the role of the World Board later on. And I think the work that we do, whether it's the media guides, what in future y'all will do as media guides, and the work y'all take on, of course it will come with a lot of challenges, but it will surely make you skilled and build your capacities to take on further leadership roles and become part of your national board, part of the regional boards, part of the World Board. So I think it's important for us to identify how these opportunities and the work we do with Girl Guides really help us, further our own skills and knowledge. And not only in girl guiding, but also I think when we go out and do our, the the knowledge and skills that we acquire from Girl Guides work really help us. And personally for me, it has really been helpful to, some of such great examples were shared. I think how it helped, build your own business. Sometimes when you, come up with challenges, how you face them and how you're really prepared to face those challenges. So it has really helped me. And one more point that I would like to say, especially that y'all are, right now currently really working on the media guides. I think media and communication plays such a crucial role. Especially during COVID, we came across such good understanding of how important communication and connecting even virtually is. So some of the things that we really looked at during our work with the two countries was that how to build capacity of our members in terms of how well they take up the technicalities of communication, like learning to use social media. And what we did was we developed social media toolkits. So it's about recreating these captions and hashtags and everything, and everything is in one place in a Word document where the leaders or the members of the MO just have to basically copy paste and post-it button. So we created all of it, and also the visual part of it, because the aesthetics we use in our flyers, in our posters, really kind of communicate to our young audiences. So we really looked at those areas as well, and it really helped our work to reach a larger audience. I mean, of course, I was asked to say what advice I would give to young people, girls and young women who aspire to be in different leadership. But I think we have our own journeys and our own challenges. So it's very hard for me to say, do it this way, do it that way, because I feel everybody have such great capacity to reach all of that, leadership roles. And I hope to see so many other girls and young women taking up, the role as a World Board member in future. But one thing we have to keep in mind is that to give your best in everything you do. I mean, never did I, think of that at the age of 25, I would be in the World Board, while I was doing Girl Guiding or Little Friends or even Stop the Violence campaigns work. But, whenever I was doing that work, I really gave my best. I really opened my eyes and learned everything as much as possible. That, that really helped me when I had the opportunity to be part of it, to really take on the work, take on those challenges. And some of the biggest, it has been such a roller coaster experience for me, because we went through such tough phases during this little time that I was in the board for around close to 1.5 to 2 years. So I think what's important is that I think very crucial point which was shared by Sarah is how your experience with your adult leaders in the member organization, how your chief commissioner motivated and empowered you to take on the role to be part of GGATT. I think the intergenerational gap needs to be bridged. I think we should have such commissioners like what you had to really inspire and empower and motivate our young leaders to take on these roles. And adult leaders will have such a huge role and responsibility in doing it, being like a mentor to younger leaders and really drive them to go for those roles, because sometimes you need a little, kind of work, at least by even when you say such empowering and kind words to really boost their confidence, it helps for them to really develop that and go for those roles. So I think that was a great story, and all our member organizations should take that as an example of how a adult leader can inspire a younger leader to take such a role. And even when it comes to leadership or doing any other project or initiative, we need such mentoring, because I actually personally had that from my member organization too. My chief commissioners and other leaders really helped me, go for those opportunities and take on the challenges. They were there really helping me to drive it. But of course, whenever I had issues and I had challenges, they were there to back me up and help me understand and clarify those. Another thing is that about balancing your work. And so while I was doing all of this Girl Guide work, I was also managing 2 degrees at 2 different universities, doing 8 to 5 usual day job, and somehow manage this work. And we find these days really hard to retain young members in the movement. So what I would suggest is that really look at how you could balance your work. And girl guiding really gives you that space to, get away from your usual stuff and explore so many different areas, which is a great thing. So that's why I still continue to be engaged even at a local level with a lot of girl guide activities. It helps me kind of balance off my life to, to get away sometimes from all stressful things you have in the job, and really help me have a good time too with whatever, even if it's serious work that we are dealing with, serious topics. So I encourage all of you young members to continue your girl guiding work, even if you're occupied and committed to so many different other things. Yeah, and then my only wish is that you'll break all stereotypes. No matter how many times somebody says, "Oh, you're not good enough," just have confidence in yourself, and it'll take you to where you want to be. Just give your best to everything you do, even beyond your capacity, and even doing that itself will give you so much satisfaction that finally I've given everything I've had, and then it's about your journey will take on you there where you expected, or what the results you wanted from it. So don't let anything or anybody put you down or say that you're not worthy enough. So because it's you who create your path and journey and do all that work. So work hard and work smart, and give it your best. And I'm sure you all will succeed in everything. Yeah, thank you. All the best.
Thank you. Thank you very much. A round of applause, please, for Chamathya, Fernando. Let me see if I can give my hands up, my thumbs up, high five. Wow, this has been fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. It's our first time doing something like this. It has run, in my opinion, relatively smoothly. A few hiccups here and there, but that has been eclipsed by the contributions of our 4 panelists. That has been eclipsed by the advice that you've given us and the encouragement that we feel now more than ever to keep on pressing on no matter what. One of the key takeaways from Ms. Fernando's contribution, of course, is give full 100, as we'd say in the Caribbean. Give full 100. Even if it is a small task, give everything that you've got, because your preparation and your full commitment to that one small task will prepare you for a bigger task. And so for me, that is the ultimate takeaway. No matter what we're doing, we give our full 100%. So thank you all very much. We've been doing a lot of listening. I know our girls had submitted questions before, but I would like to open up the forum, maintaining, of course, our Zoom protocols. Open up our forum so that all of our girls, and if you pan in terms of the participants, we have girls in the room who are as young as 6 and 7. One of our core team executive members reminds us constantly that if we want our girls to be able to lead, we must not exclude our little ones. As much as it may be difficult for them to sit still for 2 hours, listening to what all of these women have to say would have resonated with them. And so we would not about to exclude our little ones. So our brownies, thank you so very much for staying attentive. We do hope that all of you took note, both mental and literal, of things that would have touched you from our 4 panelists this morning. I want to open up the floor for questions to make it a little more interactive. It's been a little static, but we want to get girls raising their voice. Be brave now, as all of our panelists have encouraged. Be brave and ask your question. Please raise your hand if you have a question to ask. All right. Go ahead, Ms. Trisha Benjamin.
All right, just in terms of the questions, I have a few for Sarah, and then I have for Jennah and Chamathya. So do I ask, how do I ask the questions, Nicole?
You can ask all 3 questions because they're 3 separate questions for 3 different persons, and then one after the other in the order that you ask it. Our panelists will then respond.
Sure, no problem. Hi, morning. So Sarah, one of my questions is how many people went on the panel before you when you did when you went to Juliet Low? Did you complete the GLOW on WAGGGS? How many connections were made on those 2 travels? Because I know most people talk about the connections that were made. And for gender equality, is there anything that was surprising to you that came out of that experience, and one thing you would recommend to girls? That is for Sarah. For Jennah, what have you learned outside and brought back to the association in your guiding journey? And for Chamathya, what was the most surprising thing that was learned or experienced in your Stop the Violence journey? Thank you.
So actually at my panel discussion, there were 3 other girls before me that actually, surprisingly, all 4 of us at the end of it attended Juliet Low, all at different locations. So it wasn't that bad of a wait, but it was still a little bit nerve-wracking. Because, you know, how many connections did I make? I made a lot of friends. I actually linked with our Caribbean girls. So that would be our girl from Barbados and a girl from St. Lucia. I actually traveled from the United States to Mexico with a girl from St. Lucia. And we actually still keep in contact today. How many connections? I actually have a very close relationship with a girl I met in Panama as well. We all met up at Mexico City airport and traveled to our Cabana by bus, a 2-hour bus trip to our Cabana together actually. So we're all pretty close. I actually gave the girl from Panama some Trinidadian recipes to try. Then I finished my GLOW training. I finished most of what I can access. I'm not sure if there's more, but up until recently, I don't think there's anything more. And gender equality. Can you repeat that question for me? I did not get it fully.
Sure. For the gender equality, is there anything that was surprising to you that came out of that experience? And one thing you would recommend to a girl, you know, in terms of helping avoid gender equality?
Inequality.
Sorry. Gender inequality, sorry.
So something that stood out to me, as I had mentioned before, would have been how familiar all of our issues with how we have encountered pretty much similar issues. And something, and I would note, back again to the girl from Panama, she stated a story where she was actually followed home from school one night. And that has never happened to me, but I felt like that could happen to me because I really do have some late nights. I probably shouldn't say this on a media platform like this, but I do have some really late nights and some long days. So the possibility of that ever happening to me, I really don't know what I will do in that situation. So it's nice to have that to the back of my head. So something I would like for the girls to take note of: always be aware of your surroundings. Take note of what you're doing. Be aware of who you speak, what you share on social media. Just be aware of your general self and speak out. Don't be afraid that anybody, if you think, well, I guess COVID now, if you think anybody is too close, say that. But before, make sure you stand up for you and stand up for anyone else that you think is being abused. Don't be afraid of your consequences. It will always work out for the best. We were here. We at least guys, we're here to help you as much as we can. And don't be afraid. Don't ever be afraid to speak out.
Ms. Parris?
Yes, please. I think your question to me was, what have I learned outside that I've brought back into guiding, basically?
Yes, correct.
Right. Okay. Well, for me, I would be honest. Guiding covers a lot of aspects, you know, in terms of a lot of the programming and so forth, especially recently with a lot of the initiatives and so forth. For me, within, as it relates to our national situation, one of the things I looked at for our organization was looking at levels or tiers of membership, because we realized that we have lots of persons who want to give back, but what happens is that they're very busy with their lives, and they can't make the full commitment of being a guider and having weekly meetings and so forth. So one of the things I had discussed based on another experience I had with another organization, now maybe what we could do is have tiers of membership as it relates to our organization. We could have persons who are still members, but we know that what they give is of their time. We have members who give of, let's say, money, for example. We have persons who will come, but they come on request. So it doesn't mean that you can't be a member because you don't have the same time as somebody else. But whatever it is that you're offering us, you can still be some kind of member or affiliated with the association. So that's one of the things I had started to look at within our organization to see how we could do that and get persons to feel more of a part of the association, as opposed to just somebody who just gives things sometimes, because there are some people who really and truly have the passion for it. It's just at this point in their lives, they don't have the time. And I don't think we should shortchange them or make them feel less than anybody else because they don't have the same amount as another person. So that was one of the things I can think of off the top of my head that, you know, that I had looked at us doing as an association here.
Thank you. Chamathya, Fernando?
Yeah. I think my question was about, like, what is the most surprising learning or experience that you've got from the Stop the Violence work?
Yes, it is.
And I think I actually created a presentation, but I didn't go along because nobody used one. But I had one slide on this finding we got from, you know, our work. Let me share just that. Oh. Can you see the screen?
Yes, we can.
Okay. So here you find this. What we found out was that mostly our work actually was, you know, really delivering our material, our workshops, even to very rural areas, and going to not just the urban schools, but to everywhere in Sri Lanka, and doing these workshops for girls and young women. But sometimes we actually have been to mixed schools where there were boys as well, and then we've delivered these workshops. So it was very much of a learning experience when I was young, because a lot of the cases, or the majority of it, is that we hear about these girls facing violence and harassment. But there have been some instances where boys have actually come up and spoken to us and said that they weren't aware too, and it really helped them to learn that what is wrong, and then that they can also say no. And it was such an important aspect for us One thing was that to know we should not only reach out to girls and young women to speak about gender inequality and gender-based violence, but we should engage men and boys, because they should also be part of this conversation, and they should be also partners to say no to this. And the other thing that we learn is that men and boys too face violence, and gender equality is for everyone. And we all must work together to put a stop to it, put a stop to gender-based violence. And another learning that we had was when we did the workshop for Bangladesh Girl Guides, and the reactions we had from them about that, how important this training was, this education was, and how it helped them, how it will help change their futures. And that was a huge learning for us, because you know, if you could see here, they actually shared some of the posts on social media, and said that how important this education is. So we understand that what kind of a service as Girl Guides we do to change future of girls and young women, not just the people involved in our movement, because, you know, giving their education to girls and young women means that they are taking it beyond just their personal lives to their friends, to their families, which means that we are taking that education and that awareness to a whole large community, or the society itself. So I think those are some of the biggest learnings and experiences I've got from my work with the Stop the Violence, especially in terms of engaging men and boys in the conversation, and also, you know, what's the importance of doing the work that we do with the Stop the Violence campaign. But one interesting factor is that because currently I'm serving as a member of the Global Youth Task Force on Beijing +25 with the UN Women, we are advising them to really look at how inclusive and diversified we could be in the Youth Task Force. And some of the areas and regions that we really look into is the Caribbean, and to really bring out the voices of the Caribbean to the Youth Task Force work. And not just the Anglo speaking, the English speaking, but also the Spanish speaking, French speaking, Afro-descendant Caribbean, because we know that Caribbean is such a diverse region, and how important it is to bring their voices to the table. So what I actually felt is that with my work in the Beijing +25 Youth Task Force, I really look forward to connecting with you all in future, and bring your voices into the table to hear what you all have to say on gender equality and advancing women and girls' rights. So I will really look forward to that.
Thank you very much. We have questions, and this is the order that it will come in. Derry Balbosa, Nicola Benjamin, Mary Leanne, Taraji, and Bernice. Go ahead, Derry, with your question.
Hi, good morning, everyone. Okay, so I have two questions. The first question I have is from Miss Ali. In terms of bridging the generational gap in terms of guiding, what would you suggest happen? And the second question is for Miss Fernando. How did you handle or manage, rather, so many commitments outside of guiding and inside of guiding as well?
Okay, bridging our generational gap. I don't have a specific template or specific equation to get this done, but especially something I have noticed in my unit, my leaders are starting to hand down tasks to me and my age leaders. So maybe we should start there. Let some of the girls really take an active role in how they would like the association to be run, and give them a voice, that we have something to say. And I know all you girls have something to say. I know you all want to be heard. So let's just start there.
Ms. Fernando?
Yeah, I think that's an important question. Like I said, a lot of times I sometimes ask myself, how did I, used to manage all of that work? But to be very honest, at some point, like I said, I was doing two degrees at two different universities, doing a job and doing girl guiding, but not just girl guiding. I was involved in other social work too, like the Road Track, which is a youth club based initiative in universities, and I was involved in that, and I was also doing Girl Up with UN Foundation and some other projects too with the Girl Guides. But I think it's also boils down to, if you're passionate about something and if the work that you do really satisfy you in a way that you're even more motivated to do more the next day. And sometimes there have been instances where I felt like the 24 hours per day is not enough because there's so much I want to do. But of course, it's important that you balance your personal life, your commitments with your parents, your friends, your partner, but also, have some time for your health and your own kind of space. So it's about how you manage your time and you prioritize your work. You can do even more beyond what you think you can do. So think it like that. So it's just, manage your time and prioritize your work, how you are going to allocate time for different things in your life, whether it's outside the movement or inside the movement. And it'll, you'll just flow through it. So it's about, managing all of it and balancing, have that right balance of, the work that you do. And whenever you feel like you're kind of drained with whatever I think you need to take a little bit of off time and then relax a little bit, have some fun with friends and then, get back to your work. So yeah, so it's about maintaining that balance.
Thank you. Nicola Benjamin.
So my first question is for Sarah Ali. It says that you are an entrepreneur and you do cake baking. What cake baking? What got you into cake baking? And for Jennah Parris, what does being secretary for the Caribbean Link exactly entail, and what is your business?
So I actually got into cake decorating because I think, like most people, cake boss is a big thing for you all as well as me. And so I'm an engineer, right? And I like to bake. I don't really eat cake, but I like to bake and create things. That was my artistic output, I guess. So when I'm seeing these huge cakes and these big structures, I'm like, how can I put engineering and that cake together? And then I actually did the course, and that's my history.
Jennah Parris.
Yes, as it relates to my task as Secretary of Caribbean Link, is quite similar to what, the usual tasks of Secretary. So when we have meetings, taking minutes, being responsible for correspondence between, if there's anything that needs to be sent to WAGGGS or Western Hemisphere or within regions to other countries. I work very closely with the chair in terms of if there are any documents that we need to type, if amendments and so forth are sent in. So a lot of that admin work I would do as well, trying as much as possible to keep the records of Link updated. Those kinds of things are what is involved within my task. And in terms of the business, I own a daycare / preschool. And that kind of happened because from being within the education system, I see many times when children come from nurseries and daycares, and when I look at the things that they're able to do when they transition to us, I realize that there is a deficit there in terms of the skills that are being taught, those foundational skills. And I understand and I know the importance of having those foundational skills set and where that puts you as it relates to your development. So for me, owning my own daycare allowed me to help ensure that those children, when they go on to primary school, that they have the skills that they need. And then it also, in another light, allowed me to use my skills as a special educator and help to put early intervention plans in place for children who I see are having challenges. Not necessarily that they may have a special need, although that is the case sometimes. But if they are having deficits, being able to assist them from early as opposed to waiting until they're 6 and 7 and then trying, or even sometimes 8 and 9 in some situations, then trying to play catch up. So that's kind of how I got into the daycare, and that's what my business is.
Okay, so my next question would be, how do you manage from daycare to being secretary?
Well, our previous speaker would have said, you know, it's a case of balancing the things that you have to do, prioritizing what needs to be done. Because besides Secretary of Caribbean Link, I'm on the executive of my organization, trainer, and all of those different, like Serve Smart, Free Baby, all of those things I'm a part of. So, and then I teach otherwise. So for me, it's a case of, as it was previously said, knowing what needs to be done when, and prioritizing, and then also knowing your limitations on what you can handle, because sometimes it's a case where everything may come together all at once. Sometimes you have some nice gaps, so you may have to do something for, let's say, like Caribbean Link this week. Next week, you may have to do something for training, and you get those spaces in between time where you can balance things well. And there are cases as well where sometimes everybody needs something done this week. So it's very much a case of prioritizing. I am a writer, so you would, in my handbag, I always have a notebook. I always have a planner, and then there's always your phone. Like for me, just noting, prioritizing, and ensuring that I can get things done. And it's a case of sometimes where you may have to say, well, unfortunately, I can't do this for this time. Is there another time? Or can we look at getting somebody else to assist? I don't mind assisting, but in terms of taking the lead for something, sometimes you also need to know when you can manage something. And there's nothing wrong with saying no. That's something I battled with for a long time. You know, there is nothing wrong with saying, no, I can't do this particular time, but no, next time I don't mind taking the lead with something as well. So it's very much looking at the deadlines of things, and then very much prioritizing what needs to be done and when, and spacing yourself.
Excellent. Thank you so very much. Our next question comes from Mary Liam.
Good day. This morning, I have 3 questions. The first question is posed to all the panelists. How does it feel to know that you represent not only your country, but also all girls and women? And the second question is to Ms. Parris. How did your experience in guiding shape your perspective on today's society? And how has it changed from when you were around 13, 16? And my last question this morning is to Ms. Fernando. As a young woman, how do you propose we deal with matters of discrimination and gender equality, both at home and at work? Thank you.
So I'll start. How does it feel to represent my sweet Trinidad and Tobago and WAGGGS and our youth proud? Great. Hopefully one day you all will get to do it, but I am willing to take this chance up again to do it. I'm ready. Let's go.
I can go next. For me, it is humbling. It is awesome. It is very fearful. It is so many things wrapped up in one. It's one thing when you represent and you speak for yourself or a small group, but to know that your thoughts, your ideas, your opinions, what you say will have an impact on what happens to every single girl, it is a feeling like no other. I am talking to you now and it's like almost there are cold bumps going through me, because it is a very powerful position to be in, and it's not something to be taken lightly. Even with being a member of your executive, the thought that whatever it is that you decide will impact every single girl in the organization within your country. When you go to conferences and you stand up and you speak, you are carrying the thoughts, the opinions, the ideas of your executive back home, and every single Blossom Brownie guide. That is who you're speaking for when you get up and you speak in regional forums, in world forums. And I mean, the feeling is like no other. I can't. There's so many words that can come to mind, but I can't tell you one word. It is an overwhelming experience, and not necessarily overwhelming in a bad way, but it is an awesome experience. I can tell you, it really is. One that you need to ensure that you use well, and you always keep in mind as you do and carry out your actions and your duties.
Thank you. Miss Alexander. Oh, okay. Go
Sorry,
ahead.
I see that Chamathya is spotlighted, so I'd let you go.
Okay. On the first question, I think it's a huge honor, and I feel so proud to represent such a large movement with all its diversity and representation. And with my experience even in the Global Youth Task Force, when we speak out on issues, I feel that a lot of people really want to hear from the World Association of Girl Guides and Girl Scouts. And I represent WAGGGS at the Youth Task Force because we have such a great diversity within the movement, and we represent all regions and countries. And also our work with the girls and young women, being the largest voluntary organization for girls and young women. It's also important to note that it is such a crucial time that we are in, and our voice matters even more than what it was before, because of our connection and our direct relationship, the work that we do with girls and young women. And I think that's something we all should remember always, that our voice matters in all spaces and decision-making platforms. On the next question about, as a young woman, how do we actually deal with matters on gender discrimination in private and public life? I think I always say two words, that is speak out, take action. I think that's something we should remember always, because if we know that we are being discriminated or harassed based on our gender, just being a girl or a young woman, it's important to voice out and to highlight the fact that what's wrong and where they're making that wrongdoing. So speak out, and also sometimes remember a lot of people lack awareness and education on these. Especially if you find a lot of people in the public, there will be so many instances that people wouldn't even know what gender means, or that the fact that we have such laws and policies to protect women's and girls' rights. People aren't aware. So I think building that awareness is important in a public domain, because that's why you have all these issues like public, harassment in public spaces. And not just that, even in households, domestic violence is also very high in a lot of countries. So that's also, again, people don't know that harassing a woman or hitting somebody is wrong. So it's important to speak out and also in grave matters, take action. Sometimes even if somebody is touching you in an inappropriate way in a bus, it's important for you to speak out and say no, but also if needed, then report to the police and take action. So what happens is a lot of girls and young women don't know that this is their rights being violated and they can take action. So that's why the education and awareness that we are giving to girls and young women from the Stop the Violence campaign is so crucial, because we are actually serving the society and giving a huge role and taking up a responsibility in giving that empowerment. So yeah.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, so on the question of representing girls and young women, being part of the region committee it's a humbling yet really fulfilling experience to be able to connect with girls and young women across the region in so many different ways through their member organizations. And I think it is an empowering one to be able to speak out on girls' issues and issues that affect girls and young women in our region in a way that supports change, positive change for girls and young women across our region and globally. So I think being in a position to represent girls is one that I value very much. And I think it's one that allows me to spotlight and highlight girls' issues, what inspire girls, and to be able to shed some light and share on girls' experiences across our region and really highlight this globally for in order to influence positive change. One of the things I would say to you as you think about your role in representing girls and young women as media guides is that you always represent in a genuine way what you believe as girl guides and what you believe would be a positive influence on your community and Trinidad and Tobago.
Thank you. Our lone brave brownie today. I know that some of the others may have questions, but our lone brownie who is going to ask a question to Raji Davis. The floor is yours, darling.
So my first question is for Miss Jennah Parris. I want to know how she was a guide and a ranger at the same time. And my second question is for Miss Sarah Ali. How do you overcome your nervousness?
All right, perhaps you may have to unplug the connection from the earpiece into the system and actually speak directly into the device. Try again, darling. Go ahead.
My first question is for Miss Jennah Parris. How were you a ranger and a guide? And my second question is for Miss Sarah Ali. How do you overcome your nervousness?
Just to clarify the question for Ms. Parris, she had said it before. She said, how is it that you were a guide and a ranger, at the same time, right? Because you had mentioned that you happen to be
Yes, please.
both hats at the same time. Go ahead.
Yes, please. Well, as I said, my guiding experience, even though I had an enjoyable experience, my particular unit, we did little interaction. We didn't go as much as other guide units that I learned about later. So for some reason, I can't even remember how it happened, but I happened across the ranger group and they were looking to now restart and they were in the process of writing the Constitution. And I was, very much interacting with them all the time. And I was helping with the Constitution. And I realized when we were writing the Constitution, if we left it at that age, I may not be able to do it. So we had some discussions and we decided to lower the age to 14, which allowed me to be a guide and to be a ranger at the same time. And you know, one of the things we looked at is that everybody may not want the guide experience. There are some girls who may be looking more at creating their own program, because at 14 we have some girls who are, you know, very mature, who know what they want and who can handle that kind of setting, because what guiding is and what rangering is two different things, you know. So there is that leeway now where you can decide if guiding is where you want to be and you want to stay at that point, or if it's a case of you want to join rangers and you want to do the whole self-leading process. But let's just say I ensured that my interests were looked after, you know. And that's one of the things with guiding as well. They hear you when you talk, you know, and you have the opportunity to make changes and to make a difference. And once you put forward a feasible enough argument, it is heard, you know. So I had that privilege and opportunity to be in both organizations at the same time. Well, both sections of the organization at the same time.
Excellent. Cheeky and sneaky. Can I ask Sarah to go ahead?
Hi. So how did I overcome my nervousness? I didn't. I'm still pretty nervous up until probably this point. But I'm here and I'm conquering my fear as much as I can. And I think you all probably would have seen me at my discussion a little bit nervous, because at that point in time, that whole try-through thing came back and, you know, you're nervous, but we're here, we're fighting forward. We're dealing with our fears, as this whole panel discussion is about. How do we overcome our fear? It's okay to have a fear. Keep moving forward.
Excellent. That's it. We have one question from Bernice, and then two more questions, and then we'll have to wrap up the Q&A segment. So Bernice, Antoine, the floor is yours.
Thank you. So good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for your phenomenal discussion. It was really insightful. So actually, all my questions are directed to Miss Fernando. So the first question I have two. The first question I have is, how do you deal with generational diversity? Because you said that you were the youngest member on the board. So I just wanted some tips in terms of like how you cope with that and like in that regard. And my second question is that in terms of like advocacy planning for campaigns, I myself am passionate about like advocacy and youth advocacy, and I'm taking a course in it. So my issue is that the course is just all theory. So we learn about logic frameworks, we learn about this, we learn about that, but like what exactly in real life, like what do you think makes a campaign more successful? Like looking back at your history of campaigns, like what do you think is the make or break point that in order to plan and execute an effective campaign? So those are my two questions.
Hi, yeah. So I'll take on the first question because it's something I highlighted in my first intervention too. So about generational diversity and how we could bridge the intergenerational gap that we have. If you look at a lot of movements, especially coming from the recent research we did on Motion 32, which was to check research on why we do not have a lot of girls and young women in leadership positions within the movement. And the report will be hopefully out very soon, and you all will be able to go through the findings and what we recommend. But I was part of the project team, kind of directing the young women research team to do the research, to reach out to member organizations, to speak to girls, to do the surveys, to do the interviews. And it's okay for me to share some of the findings. And one factor was the generational gap, like you said, and how are we going to address this diversity, but also look at how we can really use this as a positive factor to help have more young women and girls being mentored and to have them in leadership positions. And from my experience, I could say, and one great example was also shared by Sarah when she said that how your chief commissioners and other commissioners really helped her to have that confidence and, you know, to really take up that opportunity to be part of JLS. I myself was, you know, like that when I was 18 years old, first being interviewed by my member organization to go for the WAGGGS opportunity. I was very scared and I didn't know, like, you know, whether I would be able to take on that challenge. But they were able to mentor me. They were able to help guide me, but also not saying what to do, but it was rather, you know, maybe you could take this path. Maybe you could face this challenge. If I have questions, I go to them. I take their advice. Because they come with such a vast amount of experience and learning already because of all their years of work with the Girl Guides. So it's really good if we can really take on from that their learnings and experiences to the work that we do. What happens is that sometimes there seems to be a little conflict because of the generational gap and the ideas and how we've been brought up into different generations. But I think what's good in girl guiding is that there is a certain common lining that goes throughout the generations. The values we have in guiding, the principles we have, the laws we have, and the ways of work we have in guiding have been very common across the generations. So it's easy for us to connect on those. But of course, we might, as the new generation, bring in like different technical and social media and communication, different new things into the table. And most of the time we see that leaders who are much older actually accepting those changes and really supporting them. If we have sometimes people who are a little bit, you know, we have that reluctance and friction, then it's about us how well we are able to convince them and bring them on board. So always remember that that we should value the wealth of experience and learning that generation bring in, and it's about us working together and whatever the causes that we want to work on, and then also our adult leaders actually giving space to the young women and girls to take up leadership roles and training and mentoring them to be better leaders. So that's my answer for the first. And the second one was about advocacy planning for campaigns. Especially advocacy have always played such a huge role in most of our programs that we have within WAGGGS, whether it's nutrition, whether it's gender stop the violence work, whether it's Freeing Me. And, it's about bringing that social change, what we want to achieve. Sometimes people think that, there's so much for me to share about advocacy with you, but given the limited time I have, one important point you have to remember is that whether your work is on a small initiative or big, it's about the impact you create. So if you're doing something small, don't feel that, oh, this is just a small project that I'm doing and it wouldn't have, as a bigger impact. Because sometimes we've seen that even the little tiniest efforts we've put into some of our campaigns, but it really has helped us to reach a larger audience and create a bigger impact. So it's not about how much money you have, how much financial resource. Sometimes we have people giving up a lot of ideas because they feel, there's no funding, there's no financial resources, how are we going to? But it's about, mobilizing the resources and finding a way through to somehow do your project and do your advocacy campaign and see what the results it could give. So my advice would be for you to not judge any project or advocacy campaign based on how big or small the effort is, but to see the impact it would create. And I think that's the point where you have to see how successful your work has been, because even if you do something small but it has a good impact on at least changing a behavior and attitude of even few people, that's the achievement. That's the success you've got, because you've been able to do something that, the systems and the education, formal education would have probably not been able to. And that's where Girl Guiding's work and our service is valued so much, because we change lives for the betterment of the whole society. So yeah, good luck with your advocacy campaigns, and feel free to reach out anytime if you need more details on shaping your advocacy campaigns.
Thank you so much.
Excellent. We would like to wrap up with one last question. This had come in before. We had asked questions. We'd asked the girls to submit questions. And this is to the chair of the Western Hemisphere Committee, Miss Cindy Ann Alexander. So one young girl asked, does the diversity of all of the countries in the region impact your ability to perform and function? And the last question is, what personal codes do you live by? Go ahead.
Thank you for the question. I think the diversity of the region actually is a benefit to the work that we do, sharing our diverse perspectives, hearing from each other, seeing how guiding becomes alive in different countries, in different regions of our world and of the Western Hemisphere. As you know, the Western Hemisphere has these different member organizations are bringing unique experiences to girls within their communities and across the region. We have such a great opportunity to be able to experience different cultures just being part of the Western Hemisphere. And so with that, we look at that as being a positive impact to the work that we do, because then we can draw upon the diverse perspectives to shape our work, to support the member organizations to present to our girls very interesting and very engaging opportunities, not just in their member organization, but across the other member organizations in the Western Hemisphere. So I think having such a diversity in the Western Hemisphere is one that we should all explore and learn from, and deepen up our perspectives around what guiding can do locally, but also what guiding can do regionally and across the movement. And in terms of personal code, I think some persons in the room would have heard me express this before. One of the mottos that I really like to live by, along with much of our guiding values, is carpe diem. You ever heard that expression? It means to seize the day, to go after it. And I've actually been exposed to that particular expression, I think, as a teenager. And when I saw it, I was like, I think that would be one of the defining statements of my life. Be able to go after it, seize the day, whatever the opportunity that is coming, no matter how much in me I might think maybe it's something that's very big, or something that's very challenging, to seize the day and to try my best at it, and to put my best foot forward to be able to give to that effort. And so it has worked for me in many instances where I may have been reluctant, but I remind myself that I live by seizing the day and taking the opportunity. And so by doing that, I have been able to seize opportunities that come to me and really give my best and experience and live experiences that I maybe would not have if I didn't do that.
Fantastic way to wrap up our panel.
Okay, today's meeting was such a success in my opinion. And I really did learn a lot from all of the presenters today. And I'm sure all of us young women have learned from them as well. So, can you please join us from Endeavour Trinidad, Central Trinidad, in thanking our guests?
Good day, my name is Amelia Giddings and I am a junior media guide. On behalf of all my fellow media guides, we would like to thank each panelist for their contribution and encouraging us to become limitless. We are also thankful to all the members of the core team of media guides for presenting this learning opportunity to us, and each and every one of the guides who came out today. Thank you.
Well done. Today has been phenomenal, a phenomenal experience for us. Every one of you, your contribution, your presence ensured its success. Indeed, we've come to the end of #Limitless Girl Guiding. And on behalf of my co-host, Amelia Ramkisoon, on behalf of my executive of the Girl Guides Association of Trinidad and Tobago, on behalf of the core team of media guides, we would like to thank all of you. And of course, our Chief Commissioner for allowing us use of our Zoom platform to have this event today. Ladies, Media Guides is all about you. Media Guides is about fearlessly representing the Girl Guides Association of Trinidad and Tobago online, offline, and on air. So we would like to bid you farewell with all of us joining in to sing our world song led by Catherine Reed, an executive member, a woman who wears a gazillion different hats, and a diploma trainer. Miss Reed.
So all together, just the first verse. All is clear as we march and see our God is never through our hope and never we in friendship true and strong, shall sing our song. Good job, everybody.
Bye.